Hero of Hyrule, chosen by the sword that seals the darkness, you have shown unflinching bravery and skill in the face of darkness and adversity, and have proven yourself worthy of the blessings of the goddess Hylia. Whether skyward bound, adrift in time, or steeped in the glowing embers of twilight, the sacred blade is forever bound to the soul of the hero. We're talking about the Zelda Timeline. What's up, everybody? Welcome to 3VO, where we're all on the same team. I'm one of your hosts, Brenden.
And I'm the other host, Jordan, and I have no responsibilities today.
Jordan didn't have any responsibilities today because today we're talking all about the Zelda Timeline, and since that's my wheelhouse, I shouldered all of the responsibility for this episode, and I'm gonna be talking a whole heck of a lot. So if you don't like that, too bad. So without further ado, let's dive in. But before we get to all of that, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for joining us today. We really hope that you like the podcast so far, and if you're sticking around with us to see what we do, thanks. Big thank you to you. Before we dive into the Zelda Timeline, Jordan, what are you playing?
It's been a week for me. I've jumped back into a game that as we discussed is going to be something that we're probably going to be talking about in the future on the podcast. I don't know if we want to spoil it just yet. It is based on.
No.
Yeah, it is based on something we've talked about before. It is a sequel, so I'll give that little teaser to our audience. Other than that, still going through Final Fantasy X. Also started my Mass Effect 3 run. Don't have a problem spoiling that because everyone knows we will be eventually talking about ME3. They know. They have to know by now. We're getting to ME3.
Unless they're tuning in for the first time, right now for this one, in which case we talk about lots of video games here. So, stick around.
Yeah, just so you know, we've already talked about Mass Effect 1 and 2 and have discussed that we will be talking about the third installment for the trilogy.
Absolutely.
So, start up on that. Immediately back in love with the game. It's still so good. I still love the game so much.
Definitely. I have been playing a lot of Stardew Valley. I downloaded Stardew Valley finally. I caved because I've been avoiding it. And I have lost a whole week in Stardew Valley. So
were you avoiding getting it because you were like, I don't know if that's for me, or were you avoiding it because, like me, you would know that you would lose hundreds upon hundreds of hours in just collecting and doing a bunch of bullshit tasks?
That one.
Okay. That is the whole reason I have not gotten any version of Stardew Valley. I know that it will eat my life away.
Oh, you think so?
Oh, 100%.
Oh,
You kidding me? It's just cute and kitschy enough. With just
really?
like enough, just like, especially right now when I'm looking for stuff that's super low stress in my life right now, that'll also keep me entertained. Stardew Valley would be right up my alley and I would lose my life to it. I know it for a fact.
Interesting. Because I know the kind of games that you like, and I just think that you would get bored with it and put it down. But
typically, yes. But right now, it seems like the kind of thing I would jive with. Just throw it on, play it. Just let a podcast I love just run through. Like probably just listen to 4 episodes of Critical Role while I lose 9 hours just playing Stardew Valley. Yeah.
Okay.
Hence why I have not dived into Stardew Valley yet.
Gotcha. Okay, so then if you want a game that you have that you haven't played that is super fun and cute and kitschy, but that you can't lose hundreds and hundreds of hours to, you should play Spiritfarer, which I'm pretty sure I've mentioned before. Very solid. Low stress, no impact, very cute. You should play it.
Okay, gotcha. Ooh, other one, it just came out on Game Pass, and I played on PC, and it's delightful and wonderful. We've both heard of it, Undertale, just came out on Game Pass.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I've played, it's been years now since I played, but yeah, I've played through that. But there's like, how many endings? I don't even know.
I think 3 or 4 altogether.
That's a lot of endings.
It's like neutral, ultimate good, or there's like neutral, pacifists, and then not pacifists.
Not great.
This is where we play our fun game. Guess which of us didn't graduate college?
Uh, all right. Well, I think it's time that we finally dive into what we're here to talk about. It's the Zelda timeline. So before we really start talking about it, I just have a couple questions for you, Jordan. Right now, how many Zelda titles could you name?
Oh, how many can I name?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, and no pressure, but there's 18. You could get 18 total.
Right. Okay, so I'm just gonna go and guess that I have the titles right, and we'll just see where we end up.
If you get close or it's like bad, but I can figure out what you mean, we'll give it to you.
Okay. So going all the way back, I think there's the first one, which I think is just called Zelda.
Okay.
There's Zelda 2, which I think is called The Adventures of Link.
Absolutely correct. Mm-hmm.
Okay, got that one, nailed it. But now that means I'm wrong on the first one.
And it's called The Legend of Zelda. Just The Legend of Zelda. Close
Oh,
enough.
it's just called The Legend of Zelda. Okay, gotcha.
Yes.
Cool. Then after that, my best guess would be we're going to. Oh well, I know that there's those weird ones that weren't directly Nintendo related. But anyway, those aren't even in the timeline, I don't think, so I'm not going to count those.
Which
then
ones
the next...
are you? Which? Because I'm talking core games. Like, how far out are you going?
I know one's called The Wand of Gamelon.
That is a title.
Yeah, I know that.
But
I know that. It's not... I know, it's completely unrelated. I know.
It's not completely unrelated. It is a Zelda game. But it's the Zelda game that Nintendo would like you to forget about. So
well, there was two of them. There were three CDI games.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm taking us way off track already. This is what happens when one host doesn't prepare at all. Anyway, okay, so then Ocarina of Time might be the next one I could think of.
Yep.
Majora's Mask.
Mm-hmm.
Link Between Worlds.
Mm-hmm.
What's that other one? No, that's the one I'm thinking of.
There's
I'm just gonna
a dozen.
I know.
Ones.
No, I know. Okay, then I'm just gonna keep. Okay, so then we got Wind Waker.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just naming them now. I have no clue about whether if it's.
That's fine. Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword, Breath of the Wild.
Mm-hmm.
There's another like top-down like 3DS one that I know. So there's Link to the Past. That's the other one I know.
Okay.
I think that's all I got.
Okay. So that's a lot of the titles, but there's a metric ton of these games.
Yes.
So the other titles that I'm gonna name them just for your own reference. If you've never heard of these, then I'm all the more excited to tell you all about them.
I've probably heard of them. Just
okay,
in like,
so then,
you know.
So you said Skyward Sword.
Mm-hmm.
There's also the Minish Cap. There's Four Swords. You said Ocarina of Time. You said A Link to the Past. Link's Awakening. Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons, which I'm counting as one game because they're basically the same kind of. I'll explain. I'll get there.
I mean, of course, it just makes sense.
You said Legend of Zelda. You said Legend of Zelda 2: The Adventures of Link. You said Majora's Mask. You got Twilight Princess. Four Swords Adventures. You said The Wind Waker. The other three 3DS games that you're thinking of are Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks. There's also, you said A Link Between Worlds, and then the other 3DS game would be Triforce Heroes. So from your reaction, I'm interpreting that maybe there's some of there that you hadn't heard of, have no reference for.
Just a lot.
Okay. All right. Well then,
just like 60% of those that you named.
I just wanted to kind of establish a baseline of where we were at with your knowledge. So then, tell me, what do you know about the timeline? Like any major overarching things that you definitely know about the timeline.
So part of it is, and again, kind of reckoning back to our discussion for Oh my god, what was the Zelda game we talked about? Breath of the Wild. Kind of harkening back to that a little bit. My knowledge of any like through Zelda, like actual like whole Zelda storylines comes from watching the Game Grumps playthroughs of them.
Okay.
Because I was not much of a Nintendo kid growing up, so I didn't get to play a lot of the Zelda games. So that's where most of my knowledge comes from. So I have a basic kind of like overview of everything. So I know that as far as the timeline goes, if I remember right, it technically starts with Skyward Sword.
Mm-hmm.
And then Breath of the Wild is the most recent iteration to it. And then Ocarina of Time is kind of where shit splits a little bit.
Yeah, so exactly right. Skyward Sword is the very beginning. Breath of the Wild is chronologically the last. And then Ocarina of Time is in the middle, and that's where the timeline splits off. Yeah, you're dead on with all of that. So excellent. So not you know a thing or two.
you know, not just a hat rack, my friend.
Not just a hat rack. I love it. So I have here many pages of notes about the games.
If anybody's just listening to the audio portion, Brenden basically held up a Bible. It's just
I didn't hold up like the Hyrule Historia book that much of my research came from, but
I'm sorry. How did you pronounce that?
Hyrule Historia?
Oh, Historia. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I thought you were pronouncing the word history in a weird way. I thought you were saying history. And I was just like, what the fuck?
Oh, yes, the Hyrule History.
Like, I know you're one of those dicks who learned Latin, but Jesus Christ.
Wow. Rude. Moving on. So, yeah, so, in the beginning, there was nothing. And the goddesses said, hey, let's make a something. So there's 3 goddesses, and they say, let's make the world. So Din, the goddess of power, creates the earth, and Nehru, the goddess of wisdom, creates order, and then Furor, the goddess of courage, creates all of the life forms to inhabit the earth and uphold order. So then they make the earth, and everything's good. And
I'm sorry. I can't believe I'm stopping you already.
I can.
I didn't know Zelda had a fucking Genesis chapter. Where we explain the origins of the world and how it got created.
Yep.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Well, it's explained in Ocarina of Time. It's not like... It wasn't like its own media that was like, here's how everything came to be. It's tucked inside of Ocarina of Time. But yeah, it's there.
Right, but it's in...
Yeah.
It's in the canon. Like, it's there.
Yeah.
This is, according to the world of Zelda, this is how the world was created.
Yep.
Okay, I'm sorry, go on.
So the goddesses were like, cool, we made the earth. That's dope. Let's go now. And so they leave, and where they depart for the heavens, they leave behind the Golden Triforce, which is like this magical artifact, which it like embodies their aspects of power, wisdom, and courage, and it's said that it could lead your kingdom to like a golden prosperous age, yada 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 yada, and it'll like grant the wish of the person who has it. This is important for just about every other Zelda game ever. Moving on.
I actually did know that a little bit because they touch on that, and I think it's Link Between Worlds. They really dive into the stuff. I think at least they kind of really dive into like the 3 goddesses and like how the Triforce works and the one wish you can make and da 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 da. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The Triforce factors in like 90% of the games. So yeah. So now we're actually at the first game, Skyward Sword. So in some of the events leading up to what happened in Skyward Sword, the goddesses make the earth and everything's great, but then bad guys want to get the Triforce, and the goddess Hylia, who's a 4th goddess, who's also on the earth. It's not very fully explained, but basically she's a goddess and she cares about humans and she wants to protect them. So she gets all of the surviving humans together because there's like wars raging, and she detaches a piece of the land and sends it up into the sky to protect the humans. Makes sense, right?
Oh, okay.
And so they go and live above the heavens. And Hylia was mortally wounded and couldn't use the Triforce to actually, like, put an end to everything because she was a goddess. And goddesses can't use the Triforce because that makes sense. So she passed. I know.
Okay, that's kind of like saying Jesus can't use the Holy Grail, but sure, okay.
I know.
Also, since for a second here, when did if you have this in front of you, but if not, I'm sorry. When did Skyward Sword come out? Like actually come out as a game?
Actually, thank you for reminding me. 2011.
Okay, when did the first Zelda game come out?
1986.
Okay, this is when I get annoyed with the timeline. Go ahead.
Okay, basically the events of Skyward Sword, Hylia, the goddess, gets reincarnated as Zelda, who is just a person that lives up on what they call Skyloft. That's the city in the sky, essentially. And Link is there too, and they're childhood friends, and everybody knows that Zelda is like the reincarnation of Hylia. And so she goes on a journey, and he goes on the journey with her, and basically they are the first like incarnations of the hero and the princess. She's not a princess in this era, but she will be the Princess Zelda. And what's got to happen is so Hylia, before she like passed on, sealed this king of demons guy called Demise, sealed him in the earth so that he couldn't get out and like get the Triforce, because that's what he was after. Now it's so many odd years later, and Demise is getting stronger, and he's got this minion guy that's trying to like help break him out of his seal so that he can get the Triforce and take over the world, right? General bad guy in a video game stuff, right? So Link and Zelda team up, and they, go on a journey, and Zelda has to like realize her powers that have been bestowed upon her by the goddess Hylia. Basically, all comes to a happy end. They they actually plummet the Sky City back to the Earth, which like squashes Demise, but then doesn't kill him. He comes, and they have to have a big sword duel also, because it's a Zelda game, so you got to do that.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, like general video game rules. You have the plot killing of the boss, but then you have to give your players a fight at the end of your game. So
right. So Link fights Demise, the Demon King, defeats him, but in his last, using his last words, he curses Link and Zelda, and basically says, my soul, my spirit will return and like hunt down those with the blood of the goddess and the spirit of the hero. And this sets in motion the cycle of reincarnation that is kind of ever present in the rest of the Zelda timeline. So that's
I have
Skyward
actually seen
Sword.
that part where it's the ending, and he essentially says just like, "Oh, you crazy kids, I'm gonna keep coming back and messing with your shit." Like
just like that. Yep. So
they don't voice the characters in most Zelda games, so
okay.
Who knows?
So, yeah, I mean, So that all happens. Many years pass, and Hyrule Kingdom is established. Like, from where the city came back to the Earth, they build the Temple of Time there. They build the kingdom, and it's prosperous, and everything's fine for a while. Now,
reestablish after it falls back from the sky.
Well, there was never really a kingdom, is the thing. It wasn't like a castle with a king and a princess and like all of that idea. It was just kind of like
okay.
Yeah. So it came back, and then they were like, hey, we're humans. Let's have a kingdom. And they did. And all was well. So they construct, this is important, Rauru, who's the Sage of Light, during this time, constructs the Temple of Time to protect the entrance to the sacred realm where the Triforce is kept. And it's kept behind the lock that is the Master Sword, which is what Link used to defeat Demise, is the whole thing. So Rauru constructs the Temple of Time and basically seals off the entrance to the Sacred Realm, where the Triforce is. That's important. That all happens, and then we get to the events of the Minish Cap. The Minish Cap is a game that came out for the Game Boy Advance in 2004. Basically...
Okay.
Yeah, I know. I know.
The moment somebody says, and then we split off, the timeline splits into a handheld console. I can't explain it. I just get this like irk in my spine. It just, says, "Oh, you're gonna get annoyed."
Oh, just wait. We haven't even gotten to. Anyways,
sorry. We're good. We're good.
The basic premise of Minish Cap is there is a new Link and a new Princess Zelda, and there's this sorcerer guy whose name is Vati, and he wants to get at this thing called the Light Force. It's not the Triforce, but it's kind of as important as the Triforce, and it's represented by a triangle. It's very confusing, but it's not canonically the Triforce.
Okay.
It's the Force. I don't know.
Okay.
Just bear with me.
I am. I really, really am.
The Light Force is sealed in a box with a sword that's not the Master Sword. Different sword. I know.
Just sake for the story. Just make it the fucking Master Sword in the Why add all this? Why?
It can't be because it's different later in the timeline. It's important. All will make sense, I promise.
But okay. I'm holding off. We're fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah.
Go on.
So Link. Okay, Vati's after the power in this chest that is sealed with this sword that is not the Master Sword. Vati chucks the sword out, opens the box. The Light Force isn't in there. It's a bunch of evil stuff. So evil escapes out into the world, and Vati's like, "Well, okay, I was a bad guy anyway, so I guess this is fine." Link's like, "You suck," and grabs the sword, and through a lot of exposition finds out that he has to go and like power up the sword by finding these crystalline element things. He powers up the sword becomes the Force Sword, which he uses to like split off, and he can have like four Links running around at a time.
Okay.
But we're not at Force Sword yet. Link defeats Vati.
Okay, we're in a different game still. Okay, sorry.
We're in Minish Cap. Link defeats Vati, seals him in the Force Sword, and leaves it in the Elemental Sanctuary where it originated from. Then Vati was... Oh, I'm sorry. I'm jumping ahead. No. Vati's defeated, and then comes back and is defeated again, and then we get to Force Sword. Zelda is like keeping an eye on the Force Sword that has sealed Vati. It's all really loosey-goosey, just bear with me. This is the hardest part. Basically, Four Swords Adventures happens, and Link defeats Vati again, and seals him in the sword again, and that's that. That's pretty much it.
Okay,
cool. Now we're gonna get to the spicy part. So,
I just want to say real quick, if you know, if you are a fan of this podcast and you normally listen to it, this is gonna be the one to watch, because I am really honestly trying not to interrupt Brenden too much. But if you can see my face,
yeah,
I have no poker face, so this is the one to watch. If you want to see someone just like lose their shit while listening to someone explain this, okay. And we're barely 2 games in.
Well, we just passed 3, so we're getting along. We're getting along.
Wait, sorry. So we've done Skyward Sword.
We did Skyward Sword. We did the Minish Cap, and then we just did Four Swords. Four Swords is really like small in its.
Oh, we did Four Swords as well. Sorry, I didn't catch that we had already kind of gone.
Sorry,
through Four Swords.
yeah. They're so close. Yeah.
Got it. So it was Four Swords, the same guy from Minish Cap coming back, but then Link essentially fucking his day up again.
Technically, no, but it's so similar that who cares?
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Because it's like Vati is like defeated and then he comes back and then he's defeated and then he gets sealed and then he breaks the seal and comes back. And that's Four Swords.
I see. Okay, gotcha.
Gotcha. They're so close that it's like, okay, whatever.
Right, okay.
So, war in Hyrule. Because the bad guys are like, we still want that Triforce. Ooh, it would taste so good. But the king of Hyrule, because now Hyrule is established as a kingdom, quells the fighting, and there's peace for a time. During this war, though, a Hylian woman escaped from the fighting with her baby and escaped to the forest and entrusted that child to the Deku Tree, the spirit and protector of the forest. That's all background for the next game that we're getting to, which is Ocarina of Time.
So lady gave her kid to a tree.
Yes. An important tree.
I understand. I understand the tree's very important. I'm just saying.
And very good. A very good tree.
Very, very good tree.
Very good tree. Ocarina of Time is where everything gets crazy. So, here's the basic breakdown of Ocarina of Time. Oh, and it came out in 1998, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just going backwards in release dates. Because Four Swords came out in 2002. So
okay. So like, just to throw it again, because I don't know if we covered it at the top, but we are not going in release order for Zelda. This is the chronological sort of canon order of how the timeline works.
Correct.
Just want to make sure we did mention that at some point if we did not.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. We're going in chronological timeline, story, plot order, not release order.
Got it. Cool.
Because release order would make no goddamn sense.
Well, other than just like, the games are fun. People like playing them.
Yeah, but as far as explaining the timeline, it would make sense.
People enjoyed them before all this timeline shit. Anyway.
But we enjoy it more now. No.
Fair enough.
So, okay. In Ocarina of Time, that baby that was entrusted to the tree, well, he grows up and he's Link. But he's not actually a child of the forest, because there's a race of people called the Kokiri. They live in the forest under the protection of the Deku Tree. Now, Link grew up thinking he was a Kokiri, but he's actually a Hylian. So he grew up as one of them, but never really belonged. And then when the time was appropriate, the Deku Tree was like, "Hey, actually, nah, you gotta go. You've got stuff to do. You're gonna be a big star, kid. Get out of here." So Link,
I want the Deku Tree with this big cigar, just like
yeah. So Link goes to Hyrule, meets Princess Zelda, and Princess Zelda's like, "I knew you would come. I had a dream. Also, this guy in here, he's a bad guy. Probably should keep an eye on him. We need to get to the Sacred Realm and get the Triforce before he can." And the guy is Ganondorf. This is the first Ganondorf, at least so far, because prior to this, he was, the Demon King Demise. So this iteration of Demise's spirit is the first time that we refer to him as Ganondorf.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
My understanding has been Ganondorf has been the bad guy all along.
So, yeah. So, canonically, the idea is that it's Demise. That guy from Skyward Sword has been reincarnated and is referred to as Ganondorf. Well, he is Ganondorf here, but he's that spirit.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. And then from then on, he's always like Ganondorf or Ganon in some way. So we don't hear the name Demise again ever at any point. It's Ganon from here on in.
Okay, I see. Yeah, because that's when you get into like Breath of the Wild, where it's like
Calamity Ganon.
Calamity Ganon and all the other Ganons that they use in the. Okay, I see. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So, Link, with like a lot of hullabaloo, gets the things that he needs, and then he's like, "Cool, Princess Zelda, let's open the door." And Ganon attacks Hyrule, and Princess Zelda flees with Impa, who is around for just about every Zelda game. She's like the caretaker of Zelda. They flee, but Princess Zelda tosses back the Ocarina of Time back to Link. He gets it, and then he's able to open the Door of Time in the Temple of Time that we referred to earlier, that was built, right? Okay. So
got it. Okay.
He gets in, and the Master Sword is there, and he's like, cool, I'm gonna pull it, pulls it, and this opens up the entrance to the Sacred Realm. Now, the thing is that Ganondorf was like watching him and was like, wah ha ha, you did exactly what I wanted you to do, wah ha ha. And then he's in the Sacred Realm and he gets the Triforce. But what Ganondorf didn't know is that he didn't have an equal balance of the three virtues, power, courage, and wisdom. So the Triforce splits off. He retains the Triforce of power. The Triforce of Wisdom goes to Zelda, and the Triforce of Courage goes to Link. So the Triforce is split up, so Ganondorf can't use it, but he still, like, wages his attack against Hyrule, and becomes, like, a tyrant king, essentially. Now, when Link steps into the Sacred Realm, in the Temple of Time, Rauru, the Sage of Light, who's there, is like, hey, you're kind of a child. Maybe we should wait a little while. And he seals Link in the Temple of Time, well, in the Sacred Realm, in the Temple of Time, for 7 years. And then he, you know, kind of explains things, and then he thrusts him back out into the world, and says, go defeat Ganon now. And so, you do.
Sorry, kid, the legal age in Hyrule for fighting the evil Ganon works the same way in the normal world in terms of when you can start having sex. You gotta be at least 18.
Pretty much. Yeah.
But then you're totally fine and mature enough to go fight.
I mean, he had to be old enough at some point, so...
Right.
So...
I'm just saying, a little bit of an arbitrary rule, all I'm saying.
So, through, you know, traveling through time, you know, back and forth, and, you know, getting more strong and awakening the sages, which is one of the things that you have to do in Ocarina of Time. You get strong enough, you find Princess Zelda again, you know, as an adult, and you go and you fight Ganondorf, and that is where the timeline splits. There's 3 timelines here. So, there's the timeline in which, Ganondorf is defeated, and Princess Zelda sends Link back in time to go live out his childhood. Basically, Zelda says, hey, you got robbed of your childhood, you had a large task thrust upon you, and I'm sending you back. There you go. And so you get sent back. There's the timeline where that all happens, but then events still play out along this timeline. So basically, by Zelda sending Link back, she splits the timeline that way. So
Okay.
There's events that happen for Link as he lives out the rest of his life, and then there's, okay, I'm Princess Zelda and I sent the Hero of Time away, and now we have to play out this line as well.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. So it's I referred to it in a previous episode a little incorrectly, so I'm kind of actuallying myself.
I mean, if you're gonna actually anybody.
Yeah. So Link always, in both those timelines, Link always goes back to live out his childhood. It's just that this timeline is following the events of him getting back to being a child, and then these events are after the defeat of Ganon.
Okay, I just want to make sure I get this, because I think this the way you said it actually makes sense. I want to make sure I got it though. So the 2 timelines we're currently talking about, there's 3. We're talking about 2 right now. Is that there is a timeline in which that Link goes back and lives his life from that childhood, and then there's the timeline in which we're staying with Zelda after she sends Link back to live out his childhood with her. And
correct.
That one is, okay.
Yep,
Got
exactly
it.
right. Exactly
I'm
right.
just making sure. Okay, that actually makes a lot of sense. Okay, cool,
Perfect. Excellent. Glad. And then there's the 3rd timeline where Ganondorf defeats Link.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
My assumption was Timeline 3 was she doesn't send Link back and he continues on in another timeline where he doesn't
Nope,
get...
no. No. Yeah.
Oh! Oh! Sorry, shit just clicked. I think. I'll let you keep going.
Okay.
But I think shit just clicked.
Excellent. Cool. Well then, we've gotten to the point where the timeline splits, so now it's like choose your own adventure. Which timeline would you like to hear about first? Do you want to hear about the events of Child Link? Do you want to hear about what happens after Zelda sends him back? Or do you want to hear about what happens if he's defeated?
Oh my goodness. Okay. Based on my assumption that I think I'm right about what happens after he is defeated, I would like to hear about Child Link who gets sent back to be a child.
Okay, so Child Link who gets sent back to be a child. Okay.
Yeah, I want to follow that timeline.
Okay. So, Link wins, Ganondorf is defeated and sealed in the Sacred Realm by the sages and Princess Zelda. He is sealed inside with the Triforce of Power, is the thing. It's part of it. So, Zelda returns Link back to his younger self, and Navi the fairy, who Link had acquired in Ocarina of Time, flies away. It's very unclear as to why she does this. That's a whole episode that we could talk about.
She just
that theory.
bounces? She's just like, cool, peace.
It's
I'm
pretty...
done.
Yeah. She doesn't even say anything. She just leaves.
I mean, in like a fantasy realm, those creatures are kind of there to serve a purpose, and once their purpose is served, they do normally kind of fuck off, so...
Yeah, she didn't even say goodbye, though. It was a whole thing. Anyways.
Got it. Okay.
So Link goes back as a child, right? And then he goes and meets Princess Zelda again for the first time. But he has all of the knowledge of the events that transpired. And he's got the Triforce of Courage. So he goes to her, because all of the events that happened in Ocarina of Time happened.
He was...
Right.
Yeah. Got
Right.
it. Okay.
So he goes to Princess Zelda and he says, hey, you're right, Ganondorf is a really bad guy, and we can't let him do anything, so, like, don't let him, pretty much. And Zelda's like, cool, got it, I'll keep my eye on him forever.
I want the really dark version where he explained this, and then Princess Zelda's like, interesting, and you hard cut to, like, Ganon asleep, and they, like, just, like, go in and, like, smother him with a pillow.
I mean, probably would have saved a lot of heartache. They do try to kill him later. We're getting to it.
Oh, God, okay.
We're getting to it, yeah. So, that Link, the hero of Time Link, warns Princess Zelda of all of this, and then is like, I gotta go, because I've seen too fucking much. And then he goes and has an existential crisis in Majora's Mask. So that's where we're at. Yeah.
Got it.
Right. So the Link from Ocarina of Time and the Link from Majora's Mask are the same Link.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And Majora's Mask came out in 2000, for the record.
Just so you know, I have watched a full playthrough of Majora's Mask, so I'm a bit more familiar with that story, just so you know.
Excellent.
Didn't know didn't know how it worked in the timeline, though. Did not know that.
Yeah, it doesn't have a lot, like a super lot of bearing on the timeline, because he is actually in another world. So the premise is that he's journeying to search for Navi the fairy.
Okay.
Yeah, the game opens up and is like, it doesn't ever say, like, Link is looking for Navi, but it says that he's wandering the woods looking for a lost friend.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's sad. It's a sad game.
It's really sad. Oh, no, yeah, Majora's Mask is pretty fucked up. Like,
yeah. So all of the events of Majora's Mask are Link, like, journeys out looking for Navi, and then winds up in, like, a parallel world called Termina. So that's kind of that, and the end of that. Now,
fairly one-off, doesn't quite play into the overall timeline.
Pretty much.
Okay,
pretty
gotcha.
much, yeah. So going back to Princess Zelda. So Princess Zelda being apprised of what would happen should Ganondorf be left unchecked, basically she prevents him from rising up, and then because he is kind of a jerk, they say, we're gonna execute you. So they take him to the Arbiter's grounds, and they tie him up, and they try to execute him. It doesn't work because he is the chosen one of the Triforce of Power. So they're not able to. So they're not able to execute him. He ends up killing one of the sages at his execution, and in a panic, they say, "Okay, we're just gonna banish you," and they banish him to the Twilight Realm. Now we're at Twilight Princess.
Oh, okay. I played way back when I had a Wii. I played a bit of Twilight Princess, and I've watched. Not fully, but I've watched bits and pieces of a playthrough of Twilight Princess. So I've always wondered where that kind of fit into the timeline as well. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So those events are spurred in motion because of what happens at his execution. He's banished to the Twilight Realm, where there are people that live there called the Twilight, and they live in like a parallel world to, the world of the light. And so that's when the events take place because Ganondorf influences one of the Twilight and says like, "Oh, I'll give you power, I'll give you magic, like you have to like help me rise to power." It's a whole thing. He's influencing him and uses him to gain more power and then actually bring Twilight over into the Land of the Light. And that's when Twilight starts taking over the land of Hyrule. And so Link has to stop it. And the way he stops it is by teaming up with the princess from that realm, the Twilight Princess, if you will. And her name is Midna. They team up. They meet Princess Zelda. They return light to the land. And then they go to the Twilight Realm. They fight Zant, who's the guy that was being controlled. They fight Zant. And then they realize, oh, there's a bigger, badder guy, and it's Ganondorf. Love that for us. And so they have to go and fight Ganondorf, and they do, and they kill him, and as he's dying, the Triforce of Power leaves him, and it's like a major thing, because it's like, oh, the power abandoned him. Go ahead.
Where does the Link in the Twilight Princess timeline fit? Like, where does he come from? Is he just like a new Link that exists in that world? Like, how does that...
New Link.
Oh, he's a new... Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So maybe,
because that's part of that cycle of... Okay.
I'm sorry. I perhaps wasn't clear. So the Ocarina of Time Princess Zelda, present for the execution of Ganondorf that doesn't go as planned, he gets banished. And then hundreds and hundreds of years pass, and then we get to the events of Twilight Princess.
Oh, so this is this is like a new Link and a new Zelda.
Correct.
Oh, okay, got you.
Yeah.
Got you.
Sorry.
Okay.
It's yeah.
No. Like, I kind of knew that with every like iteration, it's sort of a new like iteration of the hero and the princess and da. Okay, cool. Just want to make sure I had that like. Got it.
Right. So they defeat Ganon. The Triforce of Power leaves him, and peace is restored to Hyrule. That's kind of that. They live out. They're happy. All's well that ends well. So many odd years later, we're getting into Four Swords Adventures now, which came out in 2004. Four Swords Adventures, basically Ganondorf is like reborn inexplicably, just like poof, there he is again. And he is trying to conspire to like take over Hyrule, of course. And one of the things that he does is plots to revive Vati from the original Four Swords and Minish Cap. So he takes over and he abducts these maidens and he gets the princess, and Link is like, I gotta save him. And so he goes to the Elemental Sanctuary to get the Four Sword to, go save the world. And in so doing releases Vati, who was sealed in the Four Sword. So then he's got to defeat him, and he's got to go to defeat Ganon. That's pretty much that.
Which Link is this again?
This is a new Link. Link.
Brand new Link again. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
That is no. That's totally fine. I just want to make sure I'm keeping track.
Yeah.
Okay, so brand new Link. Got it. Cool.
Yeah. Hey guys, this episode has gotten a little bit longer than we expected, so we're just gonna split it up into two parts. But right now, let us know what you think about the Zelda timeline so far. Is it too complicated for you? Do you think it adds? Do you think it takes away from the overall story? What are some of your favorite parts, and what are some of your not so favorite parts? Let us know.
Also, if you have any ideas for future discussions for the show, send us an email at 3VOpodcastteam@gmail.com. Give us your ideas. Also, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at 3VO Podcast. Make sure to comment, like, subscribe to the show. It really makes a difference, and we will see you guys next time.
Bye.